And our Commitment 2010 report this morning, we welcome to our newscast Mayor Mufi Hannemann of Honolulu, who of course wants to be the next governor of Hawaii. And sir, thanks for joining us the day after your big announcement. We appreciate you making the time.
Good morning. John Cruz is on this morning.
John Cruz, that's right. That's the real reason why the mayor is here, to hear Mr. Cruz play. So many questions I want to ask you. First of all, let's go back. The mayor, of course, was sitting here during our morning headlines and grimacing at some of the things that his candidates or his opponents were saying. And let's start with what Duke Iona said, who's a likely Republican candidate. And he said Mufi Hannemann and Neil Abercrombie are really two peas of the same pod. Is that true? I mean, you guys are both Democrat. There are a lot of things that you do agree on, but there are some differences.
Let's see. One guy is 6'7", the other is 5. Duke, you know, he's just trying to lump us together because obviously either myself or Abercrombie are going to be very formidable. So, but nothing could be further from the truth. We are very different. We're different in experience. I have proven executive experience for this job. Neil's experience has been primarily from a legislative point of view. Neil's been inside the Capital Beltway for nearly 20 years outside of Hawaii. I've been here the last 6 years as mayor of the 12th largest city of America. And those will come out during the course of the campaign. One thing's for certain is that Duke cannot present himself as a breath of fresh air. This is the Lingo Iona team that has brought us Furlough Fridays. The Super Ferry was lost. Rail's not being started. He has to be able to answer those questions when the time comes.
All right, and here's something that your opponent in the Democratic primary said. Mayor Hannemann has violated the spirit of the state constitution for his own personal advantage by not stepping down when his campaign for governor began last year.
You know, it's interesting that he doesn't make an issue of Duke Iona not stepping down. Duke's been campaigning for governor for nearly 4 years. Secondly, Charles Dejoux, Colleen Hanabusa, score of senators that are running for lieutenant governor, they're all not going to step down. Fact of the matter is, Neil put his personal interests before the good of the people. He cost us nearly $1 million for a special election. We lost his ranking of number 65 in the U.S. House of Representatives. Now our senior member in the U.S. House of Representatives, Mazie Hirono, is number 335. Charles Dejoux starts at 435. So we lost a lot by Neil putting his personal self-interest before the good of the people and staying in Washington and finishing his job.
And, of course, Charles Dejoux elected in that special election. He'll at least serve about 6 or 7 months before the general election coming up. And you talk about we losing that seat. Well, let's talk about losing the mayor's seats. Now, you have said before that rail will continue on no matter what, but a special election is coming up. It's a winner-take-all. And Panos Prividoros, who is against rail, is one of the candidates in that, and he won 17% of the vote at the last election. 29,000 people voted for him. There's a chance that he could squeak out this election, and wouldn't that jeopardize rail? Aren't you jeopardizing rail by stepping down yourself?
Panos Prividoros will not win that election. The majority of the people of Oahu, Dan, voted in 2008 to support rail, 53%. Carlisle, Caldwell, and Dela Cruz all have said they support rail. When you have a governor and a mayor working together, good things will happen. I'll make sure that rail is sufficiently ready to begin before I leave office, and most importantly, a governor can help spur that along, and that's why I believe we have a good tandem.
Well, let me quote your opponent, Neil Abercrombie, who said a Democrat would win that seat. A Democrat would win that seat, of course, talking about his seat. If there are 5 or 6 candidates running for mayor, I mean, there's an outside chance that Prividoros could pull it out. I mean, if you split the vote, all the people who voted for rail, if they split the vote between other candidates, and Prividoros comes out on top, I mean, once again, don't you think that'll jeopardize rail if the senior executive of Honolulu Hale is against rail?
It will not jeopardize rail. Once again, Dan, the people of Oahu want it. Neil Abercrombie has always been pro-rail the last time I checked. I'll talk about being pro-rail. 3 leading candidates for it. It will not happen. The people want it. They will not allow Panos to get into office and change rail. We're too much along the process. Senator Inouye is a big supporter of rail. President Obama is a big supporter of rail. It'd be one thing if we didn't take it to a ballot and the people said, yes, we don't want rail. They want rail, and they want it now.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the issues that are on the table. First of all, the Board of Education. Of course, this has been a hot-button issue with the Furlough Fridays, and a lot of people saying that the board should be appointed by the governor, or should it be an elected body, how it is now. Your stance on that issue?
You know, I've always said whatever cards are dealt my way, I'll deal with it. I think what's been missing at Washington Place is someone who really believes and will champion education, someone who would not ever have let Furlough Fridays happen in that regard. So To me, I could have it either way, but most importantly, you need a champion for governor. That's why I did it at Fern Elementary School. I've been blessed by teachers who have helped me in the public education system. I remain committed to that. Kali, Kai, Puhal, and Fern Elementary Schools were the beginning of my educational career. I want every kid, every child to be able to go to school, and the educational system be championed by a governor, working in collaboration with all the stakeholders to have our Kiki come out ready to be competitive in the global workforce.
But no stance. Does it matter to you if the board is appointed by the governor or if it's that? Okay. How about the civil unions? You have said that you're not sure what you would do. If you were governor right now, would you veto that measure or would you let it pass?
I am a believer in the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman.
But would you sign that bill or would you let it pass?
If the civil unions, if I were sitting in the governor's desk, and the bill has to be reviewed by me, I do it like every process. I got to be able to review it from a legal point of view, cross the T's, dot the I's. If this particular bill is tantamount to traditional marriage, I could not sign it or support it.
All right, I'm getting the rap cue from my producer, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ignore it because I have to ask you this question. The unions have supported you. They've announced that they endorse you throughout, before you even officially announced for governor. What about civil service reform? Can we expect it from yourself when, of course, the unions have so heavily favored you? I was a student at Kalani High School, and the worst teacher there had the most tenure. I know state employees and city employees who complain about their fellow employees. Of course, this is a minority of the employees who carry a contract around with them and say, no, 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 that's not on my job description. What can you do about civil service employees and reform along those lines?
A leader leads by example. I will never ask anything of employees, whether they're political employees or civil service, that I'm not willing to do myself. And I demonstrated that time and time again as the mayor. We were the first ones to take voluntary pay cuts of all the management employees in the state of Hawaii. And we did that long before we needed to do that. And the unions know that. They'll be treated fairly, but certainly in this fiscal situation, everyone sacrifices, everyone contributes to the welfare of our economy.
Any plans at all, though, to try to reform the system, to try to bring costs down, to try to keep the best employees
Absolutely,
there instead
Dan.
of the...
I'm going to take the same page I did as the mayor of City and County of Honolulu. I'm going to conduct a comprehensive audit of state operations, of state finances. Everybody has been hearing different numbers from the state administration, the legislature, and so forth. When I came into office as the mayor of Honolulu, that's exactly what I did. A private sector task force, they looked at it, they did an audit, the city employees cooperated. I will do the same with the state employees. Then we can honestly and truthfully identify what it is that we need to do to turn this economy around and improve our educational system.
Honolulu Mayor Mufi Hannemann, now officially a candidate for governor. Sir, thanks so much for taking time. I really appreciate it this morning.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, and we'll be right back with the music of John Cruz and, of course, traffic and weather on the 4. It's going to be a little late, though, because this interview went a little long. Hope you stay with us.